This is Virtual's Chess Noob, learning and having fun with chess. I recently had a game of the Vienna where my opponent played the Max Lange Defense and they immediately played an aggressive line where the knight jumped forward to attack my bishop. What should I do next? What is the best move? Let's find out. So the Vienna game is of course e4, e5, knight c3, and the Max Lange defense is the symmetrical knight to c6. Against that, the best move is usually bishop to c4, and this is where my opponent played a very aggressive move, immediately attacking the bishop. So here, obviously, the bishop needs to move, but to where? Now, I considered a number of possibilities, maybe back to sort of b3 and then trade, and I could open up the file for my rook. So I thought about that and I didn't like that much. Potentially, the bishop could go to either of these squares, but then it's going to get attacked by pawns. So again, I wasn't too sure about that. The bishop could come back here, but then that sort of hems in that pawn. That doesn't look like it's that good. Potentially could go all the way back to e2. But that just seemed so passive. Yes, the knight is on the edge of the board, but that doesn't seem like it should be a good move either. I eventually found the best move, and this video will mostly just focus on the opening actually, because this is a really interesting idea. Can you find the best move? It is bishop sacrifice, capturing the pawn on f7. And Stockfish rates this as a brilliant move. And interestingly here, the chess.com Stockfish gives it a plus 0.32. But, when I use external Stockfish, really bumping up the depth of analysis, it goes higher and higher and higher, all the way to plus 1.62. And that even requires black to play some fairly inhuman lines. If they play in a human way, this goes even higher. Now, what is the logic here? Well, fundamentally, there's a few tactical things that I am taking advantage of. So, with the knight coming to a5, it is no longer defending the pawn on e5. And you will note it has no defenders. This early attack, early move means that black has no other developed pieces, and that is potentially a bit problematic for black because when you do a very early aggressive attack, so attacking before development, you become liable to attack yourself because you just haven't got the pieces in a defensive position. Also, with this attack, you will notice that the light square diagonal is a little bit weak. So here, black, the king pretty much has to take, and now I've got the queen to h5, which comes with check, attacking the pawn, potentially attacking the knight in a chained fashion. Here, the best move for black is in fact to push g6, but now we've got the pawn, so capturing the pawn comes with a fork of the rook and the knight. And the very interesting thing here is I believe Stockfish says that the best move for black in this position is actually to try to defend the knight, to attack the queen in that position, and to give up the rook. Absolutely extraordinary. And I think the logic here is that the queen is relatively trapped. So it's not trapped, but it's relatively trapped, and white needs to, waste some tempo trying to extricate the queen. It actually suggests giving up the rook rather than protecting the knight. Absolutely extraordinary. I think that's quite inhuman. And in fact, here, what my opponent opted to do was to develop their knight to block that diagonal, and of course now I can capture that knight. And here now I'm basically up 2 points of material. So I got their knight, they got my bishop, but I am up 2 pawns. And if we look at sort of the feedback, it's now plus 4. Pretty much completely winning for me. Now, this video, as I said, was mostly going to look at the opening. For the most part, after this point, the game isn't too interesting. Generally, I was trying to force trades, try not to stuff up, move towards an endgame where I can take advantage of the pawn majority. And that's pretty much what I do. So they try to attack the queen, but, you know, it's fine. Here, you know, asking to trade. There we go, trade pieces. I move my king out of the way. They want to trade queens. Yep, that's happy days for me. Win a bit of tempo. I now sort of develop basically to defend that pawn. Here, that's a pretty tricky move there. So move my rook. So basically, with the move of that knight, the bishop doesn't get an attack on that pawn as well. There we are. So develop, take, you know, forcing trades. Nice, a nice diagonal of pawns here. So very comfortable that that side of the board is sort of locked up. Again, happy to trade. Here, take that pawn, was available. Here, take, push that pawn, move it out of the way of that, rook. Here, you know, invite a trade. Now, I have to be careful. Don't want to lose my rook, so I have to bring the rook here next to the king. They can take, that's fine. Here, I'm still sort of 2 pawns up. And so really, I'm going to try to use this pawn majority to push forward. So there we are. This rook is a little bit offside at the moment. There we are. So that's not a bad move, but push. You know, that pawn is a passed pawn moving towards promotion. And here they make a mistake with that rook in this rook and pawn endgame because that rook now can't do anything about that side. It's a bit locked up in that position. They can't push that pawn, otherwise I get to take the rook. So here I sort of invite them to take because if they take, they basically can't prevent promotion. They saw that, but I now get to take that pawn. King now locked out of the game because my rook now controls a whole rank. Very, very clever here, but I've got to check. So get out of jail effectively. So asking the question, what are you going to do? Take, check. There we are. So that's still good for me. That's fine. A defender. And, you know, trying to attack, that's okay. I can defend both with the rook. That's fine. Move the king out of that line of check. That's fine. Here we go. They can't really defend. They're trying to defend, but it's too late. I can now capture that pawn because they're no longer threatening that pawn. They take, and it is not possible for them to prevent promotion. And here they opt to resign when they countered. Good game. GG. The big takeaway in this game is to keep an eye out for the f-pawn bishop sacrifice tactic. It can be available in a number of openings and can be very winning. I hope you enjoyed this video and thanks for watching.